Not every woman who smiles at you is safe. Not every relationship is healthy just because there's chemistry. Sometimes the danger isn't loud. It's subtle, slow, hidden in charm, beauty, or emotional games you don't even see until it's too late. Today we're breaking down 7 clear signs you're dealing with the wrong kind of woman. The kind who will drain you, distract you, and cost you your peace of mind if you don't step back and see things for what they are. This isn't about judgment, it's about wisdom. Because Stoicism teaches one thing above all: protect your mind, guard your time, and never give away your inner stillness to someone who doesn't value it. Let's get into it. Sign 1. She controls through guilt. Some women don't yell, they don't argue, they don't slam doors or raise their voice. They don't have to. Instead, they control through guilt. Quietly, precisely, and without ever saying a word. You cancel plans because of work and suddenly she's quiet. Not visibly upset, just disappointed. She doesn't accuse you. She doesn't even need to ask what happened. Her silence says everything. A sigh, a distant look, a subtle shift in tone, and before you realize it, you're explaining yourself. You're apologizing. You're rearranging your life to avoid that feeling. The heaviness in your chest, the tension in your gut. That quiet pressure that tells you let her down. At first it feels like sensitivity. You think she just needs reassurance. You try harder. You become more available. You cancel time with friends, skip your routine, push your priorities aside. Not because she demanded it, but because it keeps the peace. Or so you think. I've seen this before. I've lived it. I was with someone who never asked me to change, but I changed everything. I started operating around her moods. I gave more than I had, and it was never enough. Not for her, and eventually not for me either. This dynamic is more common than you think, even in high-profile lives. Look at Robin Williams, the legendary actor and comedian. Behind the scenes of his first marriage, people close to him described a pattern. He gave endlessly, his time, his energy, his presence, but often at the cost of himself. Biographers and friends have pointed out how his deep need to make others feel okay left him vulnerable to guilt-driven relationships. He kept giving and giving, even when it was draining him. He carried the weight of everyone's emotional needs, and it took a toll. That's the danger with guilt. It disguises itself as compassion, but over time it drains you. It disconnects you from your own clarity. Modern psychology confirms this. Guilt activates the same brain regions as physical pain. That's why it feels so heavy. And some people, consciously or not, learn to weaponize that weight. They don't control you with anger. They control you with the emotional cost of disappointing them. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If your actions are driven by guilt, not values, not logic, you're not free. You're reacting. You've handed over the reins. The Stoic doesn't live like that. He stays rooted in reason. He gives from strength, not fear. He doesn't perform to avoid guilt. He acts in alignment with his values. When the emotional cues come, when the disappointed looks, the withdrawn affection, the silence rolls in, he stays calm, unmoved, not cold, just clear. Because a man who values his peace doesn't give it up to keep someone else emotionally comfortable. But not every woman plays it quiet. Some don't manipulate with guilt. They manufacture chaos. When life gets too calm, too still, too steady, they set it on fire. Let's talk about the second sign. She's addicted to drama. Sign 2. She's addicted to drama. Some women don't want peace. They say they do, but when life gets too calm, too stable, they become restless. Steady love feels boring. Quiet mornings feel empty. And without even realizing it, they create chaos just to feel something again. At first it's small. Maybe you didn't respond to a text quickly enough. Suddenly she's accusing you of pulling away. You're distracted during a story, and now you don't care anymore. The day starts calmly, but by the evening you're caught in a full-blown argument you didn't see coming. And somehow, by the end of it, she's energized while you're emotionally wiped out. This is the pattern of a woman addicted to drama. Conflict becomes her comfort zone. Emotional highs and lows give her a sense of control, and if you're close, you'll be cast in the show, whether you signed up for it or not. I watched this happen to a friend of mine, Aaron. Smart, level-headed guy. He started dating a woman who came off as passionate and deep. Their connection was intense, almost cinematic. But every time things settled into something steady, she'd stir things up. One day, she loved him. Next, she questioned everything. He once told me she accused him of being emotionally distant because he didn't laugh at a meme she sent. A meme. He tried to be patient. He told himself she just needed more reassurance. But the truth was, there was always another fire to put out, another accusation, another emotional storm. Slowly, Ariane stopped being himself. He became anxious, constantly explaining, constantly apologizing for things that didn't need defending. And that's what this kind of dynamic does. It breaks a man down, not with fists, but with emotional turbulence that never ends. Seneca once said, "An angry man opens his mouth and shuts his eyes." That's what drama does. It blinds people. It removes reason from the conversation. With someone addicted to emotional intensity, you'll never find resolution, because the goal isn't to understand. It's to stir the pot. It's not about connection, it's about control. So what do? You don't match the chaos. You don't try to calm her with logic. You don't chase after peace in a place that thrives on conflict. You step back. You observe. You create distance. Not out of anger, but out of wisdom. Epictetus taught us, you cannot control others. You can only control how you respond. And your response, as a Stoic man, should be rooted in stillness. You don't get pulled into the storm. You don't explain every word, defend every look, or try to rescue her from her own emotional fires. You recognize what it is, and you refuse to participate. Because a woman who sees peace as a problem will always turn calm into conflict. And your job isn't to teach her how to be still. It's to protect your own. Now let's move to the third sign. She can't admit she's wrong. Sign 3. She can't admit she's wrong. You bring her the facts. You speak calmly. You walk her through exactly what happened. It doesn't matter. She won't hear it. She can't. Because to her, being wrong isn't just a mistake, it's a threat. At first, it seems like pride. Maybe she's just stubborn. Maybe she's having a bad day. But over time, you see the pattern. Every disagreement ends the same way. Not with accountability, not with growth, but with deflection. If she can't win the argument, she'll shift the focus. Suddenly, it's not about the issue anymore. It's about how you made her feel, how you always twist things, how you never listen. The facts disappear. Emotion takes over. And now you're apologizing for bringing it up in the first place. It sounds familiar because it's a tactic. One was designed to protect her ego, not build the relationship. And the more you allow it, the more it becomes your reality. You stop raising issues. You start avoiding conflict, not for peace, but for survival. I once knew a man, James, logical, steady, rational. He married a woman who couldn't say the words, "I was wrong." Ever. Even when the mistake was clear, even when the damage was real, she'd twist it into something else. If she overspent, it was because he stressed her out. If she snapped at him, it was because he set the tone wrong. James found himself constantly doubting what he knew was true, because every conversation turned into a trial, and he was always the defendant. This wears a man down. It chips away at clarity. You start questioning yourself more than you question her behavior, and over time, you lose your voice. Not because she took it, but because you stopped using it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change. I seek the truth which never harmed anyone." That's real strength, the ability to be corrected without crumbling, to welcome truth over ego. That's the kind of mindset a Stoic builds his life around. But a woman who can't admit fault? She's not building anything. She's defending a false self-image, and you become collateral damage in the process. In a relationship like this, reason is always under attack. Growth is impossible because everything is a fight to maintain control. There's no room for truth, only blame. And the one who sees things clearly, he carries the weight. So what's the Stoic response? You stop making excuses for her. You stop softening reality. You see it for what it is, a person who values being right more than being real. And if that never changes, you walk, not in anger, but in clarity. Because a woman who can't admit she's wrong will never grow. And if you stay, neither will you. Let's move to the fourth sign. She disrespects your time. Sign 4. She disrespects your time. Time is the one thing you can never get back. Money comes and goes. Opportunities rise and fall. Even health in some cases can be restored. But time, once it's gone for good. That's why when a woman consistently disrespects your time, it's not just inconvenient, it's a deeper signal, a warning. Because time is your life, and someone who treats it carelessly is, in effect, treating you carelessly. It starts small. She's late. Not once, not twice, but every time. She cancels plans at the last minute. Sometimes she just doesn't show up at all, with a vague excuse that doesn't quite hold up. You let it slide. You tell yourself she's busy, overwhelmed, maybe just a little scattered. But meanwhile, you're waiting. Again, I remember a man named Richard, a contractor in his 50s, solid guy, built everything he had from nothing. His work ethic was unmatched. But when it came to his personal life, he was patient. Too patient. He started dating a woman who was charming, full of energy, but always just a little unpredictable. She'd say she wanted to spend time together, but then cancel without notice. He'd reschedule his life around her, only to be left alone, waiting in restaurants, staring at his phone. One day, after another no-show, he sat across from me, stared at his coffee and said, "I feel like I'm always waiting, not just physically, but emotionally, waiting to be prioritized, waiting to feel respected, waiting for his time to matter to someone else." That's what it comes down to, respect. A woman who values you will value your time. She won't waste it. She won't play games with it. Because she knows what it represents. Your attention, your energy, your life force. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And he was right. We give too much time to the wrong people, and they take it, not because they earned it, but because we allowed it. The Stoic response? Clarity. You don't chase, you don't beg for someone to show up. You set the standard. My time matters. If someone can't honor that, you stop giving it to them. No drama, no resentment, just distance. Because when a woman repeatedly disrespects your time, she's not just mismanaging a schedule, she's showing you where you rank in her life. And a Stoic man doesn't ignore what's obvious. Protect your time the way you'd protect your peace. Because in truth, they're the same thing. Next, let's look at the fifth sign. She's always the victim. Sign 5. She's always the victim. Some people go through life believing the world is out to get them. Every setback, every disagreement, every broken relationship, it's never their fault. There's always someone else to blame. And when you're with a woman like that, eventually you become the next villain in her story. At first you feel empathy. She tells you how her ex lied, how her friends betrayed her, how her family never supported her. You listen, you nod. Maybe you even admire her resilience for enduring so much. But the stories never change. Every chapter has the same theme. They did her wrong. She was just the misunderstood, mistreated, unappreciated victim. There was a guy I knew, Tom. Good man. Divorced, decent heart, emotionally available. He met a woman who seemed refreshingly open. She shared everything. Her past relationships, her struggles, her pain. He admired her honesty, but over time, he realized it wasn't honesty. It was a pattern. A script. Every person in her life, past and present, had wronged her. And slowly Tom noticed something else. Whenever he disagreed with her, challenged her view, or even tried to help, he became the next problem. That's how it works. A woman who sees herself as a permanent victim isn't looking for solutions. She's looking for someone to validate her version of reality. One where she never has to take responsibility. And when you don't play along, she turns on you. Stoicism teaches us one core truth. We are responsible for our own minds, our own actions, our own lives. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But the woman who clings to victimhood refuses that power. She offloads her burdens onto everyone around her, expecting them to carry what she won't claim. The danger? You become her emotional caretaker, her fixer, her shield, and no matter what you do, it's never enough. Because she doesn't want healing, she wants someone to blame when things stay broken. The Stoic path here is simple, but not easy. You step back. You recognize what's yours to carry and what isn't. You stop rescuing people from stories they refuse to stop telling. You offer compassion, sure, but with boundaries. And if the narrative never changes, if she remains the eternal victim, then your silence becomes your wisdom. You don't argue. You don't try to fix her worldview. You just walk quietly, firmly, because peace isn't found in someone else's chaos. It's found in your own clarity. Now let's move to the sixth sign. She's obsessed with superficial things. Sign 6. She's obsessed with superficial things. There's nothing wrong with liking nice things. A good home, a sharp outfit, a beautiful place to spend a weekend. That's not the problem. The problem is when everything becomes about how it looks. When a woman measures life in likes, handbags, status, and how many people are watching. When image matters more than substance. When who you are matters less than what you can provide. Or how you make her look standing next to you. It starts off subtly. She comments on what other people have, what her friend's boyfriend bought her, what some influencer is driving. She compliments success, but only the kind that's visible. Your values, your discipline, your peace of mind, those things don't register because they don't photograph well. And over time you feel it. You're not in a relationship, you're in a performance, a game of appearances. One where you're constantly trying to keep up with expectations that were never real in the first place. I saw this play out with a friend of mine, Daniel. Built a solid business from the ground up. Lived below his means, calm, low-key, focused. He started dating a woman who, on paper, seemed perfect. Put together, social and ambitious. But she was never satisfied. If he took her to a nice restaurant, she wondered why it wasn't 5 stars. If he bought her something thoughtful, she compared it to what someone else got. And when he finally told her he was investing for the future, she called him cheap. It wasn't about the money. It was about the mindset. She didn't care what it took to build a life. She just wanted to look like she had one. The Stoics warned us about this. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." That's the core of it. A woman obsessed with superficial things doesn't want enough. She wants more. Always. And that endless wanting creates a hole you will never fill, no matter how much you provide. Even worse, you'll start measuring yourself by her scoreboard. Your peace will depend on her approval. Your decisions will be filtered through what impresses, not what matters. And before long, you won't recognize the man in the mirror. Stoicism calls us back to what's real: character, discipline, virtue, peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." But a woman caught up in the superficial will never see that. She'll chase what's external and drag you with her, until your soul is burnt out from trying to impress someone who doesn't value who you are, only what you show. The Stoic response? Step back, not out of bitterness but clarity. Ask yourself, am I with someone who values truth over image, substance over style, peace over attention? Because a woman who lives for surface-level approval will never offer you depth. And a man who lives by Stoic principles doesn't waste his life trying to decorate a shallow existence. Now let's move to the final sign. She lacks empathy. Sign 7. She lacks empathy. So much of what makes a relationship strong can't be seen. It's not about gifts or grand gestures. It's about presence. It's about how someone shows up when things fall apart. When you're not at your best, when life hits hard, when the mask slips and real vulnerability steps in. A woman who lacks empathy won't be there for that version of you. And if she is, it's out of obligation, not care. At first, it's easy to miss. You say you're tired after a brutal week, and she barely looks up from her phone. You open up about something real, and she changes the subject or throws out a one-line response before circling back to you. It's not that she doesn't understand, it's that she doesn't want to. Empathy doesn't need to fix you. It doesn't need to give the perfect answer. Most times it just listens, it stays, it feels with you. And when it's not there, you'll feel more alone sitting next to her than you ever did on your own. I remember a man who lost his father. Tough guy, but that broke him for a while. The woman he was dating told him she'd be there for anything. But when the grief hit, when he couldn't pretend to be okay, she got distant, restless, irritated. He didn't need her to solve anything. He just needed her to be there. She couldn't do it, or wouldn't. Either way, the message was clear. Come back when you're fun again. Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. But I'd add this, waste no time waiting for empathy from someone who doesn't have it. Empathy isn't a skill you can teach someone through effort. It's either present or it's not. And if you find yourself constantly making excuses for her coldness, telling yourself she's just not emotional or not good at this stuff, stop. Pay attention to the feeling you get when you're around her during hard moments. Stoicism doesn't tell us to harden up and go it alone. It tells us to recognize what's real. And what's real is this. A woman who can't be there for you when life gets tough won't be there when the storm comes. And the storm always comes. So what do? You don't beg for connection. You don't train someone to care. You choose differently. Not in anger, but with clarity. Because your peace, your presence, your purpose, those deserve to be met with someone who can stand with you in silence, not just shine with you in the spotlight. Seneca said, only time can heal what reason cannot. But in a relationship where reason and empathy are missing, time doesn't heal anything. It just deepens the loneliness. So if you feel miles apart from someone sitting right next to you, it's not unkind to walk away. It's wise. If any of these signs hit home, take it seriously. Stoicism isn't about blame, it's about clarity. Once you see the truth, act on it. Don't stay in chaos out of habit or hope. You're here to build peace, to guard your time, your energy, your mind. That starts with who you allow into your life. Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts, but it also depends on the people shaping those thoughts. If this helped you see things, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below. Even if it's just, I choose peace. Thanks for watching.